Hello.
Hello, hi Brenda. We are now on the.
Better.
Yes, that's better. We are now on the live session. We're waiting for now participants to join, and they're joining right away. So as soon as we have a good number, we will kickstart the meeting.
Okay. So we'll give our attendees a few more minutes to join. 6:05, let's give another 3 minutes. Welcome everyone, our attendees today. Excuse me, I'm not able to have my video on. This is Dr. Brenda Obondo. I'm the CEO of Kenya Medical Association. It's a pleasure for us to be able to host this session whereby we are able to get insights on what the Young Doctors Network is about. I'd like to welcome you all. Feel at home. Just a little housekeeping. If you have any questions, kindly just write it, feel free to write it in the chat so that we're able to address them as we go. I'd like to just go through the program quickly for today as you come in. So we are first going to have an opening session by Dr. Otara, who's going to give us some remarks. Dr. Otara is a KMA Vice President. Then we're going to move to our special guests, the World Medical Association Junior Doctors Network representatives, who are going to speak to us. Today, we are privileged to have Dr. Wenzen Chua, Dr. Luando Maki, and Wunwa, who are going to address us. We'll hear more about what they do within the Junior Doctors Network of the World Medical Association. After that, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Andrew Gitiria, who is a very active member of the Young Doctors Network, Kenya Medical Association. He's going to moderate the next session, where we'll have our panelists speak. Dr. MC, we have Dr. Linda Kemunto and Dr. Liz, who are going to address us. Then we are going to handle a Q&A after that session, where we are going to take questions from the panelists' discussions. Then we'll invite our president, Dr. Simon Kigondu, to address us and close the meeting. So welcome, young doctors and any doctor who is online with us. Welcome to Kenya Medical Association. Allow me to just remind us that who or what Kenya Medical Association is. So this is an umbrella body that has the doctors of Kenya. It's a voluntary membership, and we have a twin mission to champion for quality healthcare and also champion for the welfare of doctors. And we felt that this session is very important so that we can introduce the young doctors to the association through the Young Doctors Network, so that they can take up active roles within the association to help drive our mission. I'd also want to just emphasize and let the young doctors know that the Young Doctors Network through KMA is instrumental in the success of the association. So this gives us a space where, I'm saying this is us because I'm one of the members of the Young Doctors Network. So it gives us a space where we can address our unique issues as young doctors and also contribute to the mission and vision of the association as a whole. So with that, I'd just like to welcome Dr. Otara, so that in the interest of time, Dr. Otara, kindly, we welcome you, our Vice Chair, to give an opening remark as we open the meeting. Karibu.
Okay, thank you so much, Brenda. And on behalf of the Kenya Medical Association, I just want to welcome everybody into this session for the Young Doctors Network. All of you are logged in from Kenya and diaspora, including our guests from the World Medical Association. The CEO has ably said what Kenya Medical Association stands for. And yes, this is a special day for us, particularly for those of you in Kenya who woke up in the morning to the rude headline in the newspapers that says dogs con game. And this is really a hard-hitting statement, but it affects both the KMA members and non-members. But for us as an organization, given our twin mission of doctors' welfare and ensuring quality healthcare, it is something we are ready to run with to ensure that our membership is not tarnished, is not painted in bad name, and also the public has confidence in what we do for them. So really, I want to appreciate the Young Doctors Network. It's one of the committees that works within the Kenya Medical Association. We work through divisions and various committees. And I'm glad that here tonight we have previous conveners of the Young Doctors Network, starting from the pioneer, that was Dr. Liz Gitau, followed by, who's now our Assistant Secretary General, followed by Linda Kemunto, who is the current Treasurer General. Brenda, our CEO, current CEO, has also been a co-convener of the same. And I'm happy the current convener is also here, Marie Claire. We are trusting that you'll also climb the ladder of KMA, probably to be president with time. So this is the structure of KMA, and we are glad that we are growing. The only thing to note here is the boy child is missing, particularly in the Young Doctors Network, but Andrew is there to represent them. We are also members of the Junior Doctors Network, the global movement for doctors through the World Medical Association membership. And we are glad to have Zoa. Is it Jean Zoa? The name is not very clear, but you are highly welcome, and we are looking forward to hosting you this part of the world sometime, the council, sometime next year. So KMA works both with the young, the old, the entire membership. We also have a lot of linkages within the country and out there. WMA is one of our very strong partners. So without much ado, I really want to welcome all of you into this evening's discussion, and really feel free to put in as much as you can to ensure that we all grow together, from the Junior Young Doctors Network all the way to the entire KMA fraternity. Thank you so much, and welcome once again.
And thank you, Dr. Otara, for opening the floor for us. At this point, I would like to invite Dr. Marie Claire. I think she has just left. Dr. Marie Claire, are you in the meeting? Okay. If not, we'll jump straight to Dr. Jen Zo to introduce the World Medical Association together with Junior Medical Network, Junior Doctors Network at WMA. She will also introduce her delegation. Welcome.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, everyone. I want to introduce you to my team. My name is Jen. I'm the GDN Membership Director, and we have Dr. Wunatun, who's also in the call with us today. And maybe a little bit later, another one of our member, Dr. Maki Luwando, our GDN Deputy Chair, would also join the call. For now, Dr. Maki is a little bit busy with his call shift at the hospital. So me and Wuna will be presenting to you what is WMA and what is GDN. So without further ado, let's start. So what is the Junior Doctors Network? So the Junior Doctors Network is actually a global network of young doctors. It's a membership individual associate member based. So you just need to be an associate member at the World Medical Association, which is the bigger regroupment associations where KMA is also part of. And our mission is to empower young physicians around the world to work towards a healthier world through advocacy, education, and international collaborations. It's a platform where we can exchange some topics such as what appeared in your dailies this morning, that doctors are blamed of earning big money without putting any efforts. Those are issues that also happens a lot with all our colleagues around the world. So it's a platform where we can exchange about our issues and advocate together. Okay, so now I will pass to Wuna. Wuna, are you here? Would you like to present the structure of the WMA and the relationship with GDN? Go ahead, Wuna. Wuna is our secretary of GDN.
Hi, Ona, you're muted.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear, perfect.
Okay, perfect. Hello everyone, and thanks everyone from the KMA YDN network, and also for KMA leadership to invite me to present about this. And thanks Wajan for introducing to me. And also as the Wajan said about the JDN, JDN is a part of the associate's membership of the World Medical Association, and we present at the General Assembly where there are 115 member countries, which include the Kenya Medical Association as well. And also we have attended the various council meeting as the observership. And also this the WMA is governed by the council as well as the General Assembly, and also the award is done by the Secretary of the World Medical Association. And next slide, please. For the JDN meeting, we have a biannual meeting in conjunction with the WMA General Assembly and Council meeting of the WMA. We used to have two JDN meeting in Africa, and one is in South Africa, and another one is in Livingstone and in Zambia, where I attended both for at the for the African meeting, and the next two meeting will be coming in Africa, as you all know, in Kenya, and also in Nairobi, and also in Kigali and Rwanda. So this is a very huge opportunity for our African colleague to join this wonderful meeting in Africa. And also, as you see, we have other pioneer meeting, and you will see the glorious lady and at the middle of the photo, she is the, as you all know, she is the president of the Kenya Medical Association, and she joined with many of our JDN meetings. And also, you are current president, the Simeon is one of my colleagues, and met with several JDN and WMA meeting. And we have a monthly general membership conference where we exchange our news and activity from around the globe, and rotate every month to accommodate the alternate time zones. And also we have other meetings and teleconferences as scheduled and as necessary by the WMA, and also the associate membership, and also management meeting, and some of the working group meeting where our colleagues from the KMA YDN members are very active, and also the Mary Claire is very active as the co-chair of the pandemic working group, and also Linda is our very efficient leader in the JDN management team, and also other people from the Kenya Medical Association and junior doctors are very working hard in our JDN various JDN working group. And the next slide, please. I think I will now hand over to the Wanjan.
Yes. So what do we do as a GDN in terms of work? I think we have 4 pillars of work. The first one is we contribute to global health policies through WMA's own policies. And we also contribute as junior doctors. We're often consulted for WHO's policies. For example, right now, Marie and I, we co-chaired the pandemic working group, which is contributing to all the WMA's policies and contributions to the international negotiation body for the new pandemic treaty. So we are actually writing all the drafts of WMA's policies. And we also contribute to revision of, for example, global standards in medical education within WFME. So this is the first part. The first pillar is global policy work. And I think it's important for Kenyan members to join as individual members, because you can bring your local country's Kenyan perspective to those global policies. The second pillar of work is we're actually representing WMA at global events, such as the WHA of WHO, the annual COP of UNFCCC, which is the climate convention. And this year we have a delegation who's chaired by Mackie. They are going to Egypt this year for the COP. And we also have Conference of WFME. I think many perhaps YDN in Kenya are coming from FMSA backgrounds. So we are also invited to FMSA, attend WONCA, and also European Junior Doctors Network. So European Junior Doctors, they have also agglomeration of annual meeting representing the entire Europe. And also we are attending national GDN events like the YDN and KMA events right now. This is the second pillar of representation of external events. And we also have our diverse working group, which is representing the pillar of work of GDN that we produce. We have the pandemic working group, medical education, medical ethics, where we exchange about standard medical education, issues of medical ethics around the world. We have a WHO working group, which is doing the capacity building to empower every member in terms of intervention writing, policy writing, and understanding the structure of WHO. So it's a really good empowering soft skills working group. We also have primary healthcare and two new working group on planetary health, and also LGBTQA+ rights and issues working group. So those working groups, you can join as many as you want, any topic that interests you and contribute to the work of the working group. And finally, we have 2 annual publications per year that you can all contribute very actively. We often call for country's presentation and the country's perspective. So basically, it's really a platform where you can bring your perspective and the issues and the point of view of doctors working in Kenya. And finally, to learn more about the GDN, we have a website, we have a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram page. And if you would like to just scan this QR code, you will have all those informations on how to join the Junior Doctors Network there. And you can also contact me directly. I'm the membership director. If you have any questions about how to join the GDN, basically you just need to be associate member of WMA and fill a Google form, and then we will process your membership. So if you scan the QR code, everything will be there. Now over and perhaps hand over to you, Andrew. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Zen, for that insightful presentation with Wana. At this point, I think I would ask Dr. Marie Claire to give us a highlight from what the WMA has presented, try to connect that with the work that we are doing here at YDN. And then at the same time, we'll have any questions from the audience that they would like to ask WMA. And after that, we could probably release them to leave at their own pleasure before we go to our panelist. Karibu sana, Dr. Marie Claire. Marie Claire is our current convener for Young Doctors Network, and she will link the work JDN is doing with what YDN is doing here. Karibu.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And I really don't want to ruin the fun of the panel discussions where each of our amazing panelists will share the experience both at WMA and at KMA YDN. But it's always, we're happy that one, WMA JDN took time off their busy schedule. I know Wona is in Myanmar and Jen is in the UK to be with us on a Saturday afternoon and evening for Wona to present on the JDN. And we are really happy to have you on board and we look forward to further collaborations. This is just a snippet of what KMA YDN is doing, and we'll discuss more in the panel discussions because we believe lived experiences of engaging in both these networks is a better way of sharing why you should be part of it. And yeah, so that's just where we are at. So KMA YDN started in 2018 at the 50th annual general meeting that was hosted by the Coast Division. And the main purpose that it was formed was to increase participation of young professionals in the association, and so as to provide an avenue for mentorship, and also to bring out avenues for doctors to engage with the healthcare system other than just being healthcare providers. And its main aim is to connect, develop, and support young doctors by providing them with opportunities such as being in the World Medical Association and in the World Medical Association Junior Doctors Network, so as to explore and develop and personal and professional growth. Generally, the goals of YDN are as follows. If you're to summarize it, it is one, having a representation in national entities such as Kenya Medical Association. And I think in the 5 years now that we're approaching since YDN was formed, we've done that fantastically, because right now the National Governing Council is comprised almost half of Young Doctors Network members, and we'll show you the criterion. And also the National Executive also has half of its membership being the Young Doctors Network. So in your first 5 years, we've literally been able to achieve one of our goals, which was having fair and adequate representation in KMA. We are also providing continuous medical education. So all of you who are healthcare providers on this webinar will be getting your continuous professional development points after this. And also we like to bring young doctors on board, engaging them right from medical school all the way to when now they join the practice. And we're working actively with the Medical Student Association of Kenya. Many of us are alumnus of that process, and we've seen a journey of being university and now and engaging our KMA divisions, and now engaging KMA on a national level. At this point in time, there are 17 divisions of the Kenya Medical Association as highlighted. And this current committee does have good representation of people from this division. So in the event that you would like to be linked up to the Young Doctors Network, we're trying to look at ways in which we can have division-led activities. So what does it take to be a Young Doctor Network member in Kenya? So the criterion is basically three. You're a registered doctor in Kenya under the age of 40 years, or you're a registered doctor in Kenya within 5 years of completing your undergraduate studies, or both criterion being true. So this year we have done a bit of restructuring, and we have our plan of action for the year, which is focusing on 5 main areas, which is sustainability through projects, mental health and well-being as a means of thriving at work. And those of you who attended the pre-conference will know that thriving at work was one of the workshops we held. Then we have acting local and thinking global, thanks to international exposure. And we really would like to increase our membership in forums such as the World Medical Association Junior Doctors Network and other global entities. Then, of course, to sustain the future of KMA, we need more members to be KMA members, whether at student level, intern level, or professional level. And this year, the National Executive have been gracious enough to have various membership payments for each of the levels to ensure that we bring as many people as possible. And as we recruit you, we also want to mentor you so that you can grow in the profession. As you've seen, the previous conveners who started this network have grown on a global scale and now on a national scale and are now in our national executive. And we would like to have more leaders, even if not through the KMA space, being leaders even in our national health systems, either at a county level or even in assembly. And then finally, we'd like to have visibility through having proper communication channels, such as newsletters and beefing up our social media advocacy. So with that in mind, our 5 committees based on this strategic plan is projects, where we have Dr. Ted Omwenga, who's based in now Nairobi division, and Dr. Caleb Ngari, who now with internship, I think will also still be in Nairobi. Then we have Dr. Demange Butuku, who's in Kisii division, leading that. For membership, it's actually led by medical students in their final year. We have Joanne Chalo from Nakuru Division, Egerton University, and we have Yamsa Hassa from University of Nairobi, that's Nairobi Division. Communications, we have Dr. Lynette Kiriga, who will still be in KMA Nairobi Division as she goes for internship, and Ruby Oswere, who's a 5th-year medical student at the University of Nairobi. Career development, we have Dr. Felista Sondari, who was part of the inaugural team and has been an active and strong member of our network, who's currently doing her residency at the University of Nairobi. And then we have Dr. Christine Mutonyi, who is also now about to go do her internship. And then we would like to ensure that the vision is continued in the network. So we have our immediate past convener, Dr. Linda Kemunto, on board. So with this group, one thing I think, which is a hot question I have been tackling since we announced this webinar, we do have male empowerment. As you see, there are quite a number of gentlemen on the team. And also we're trying to mix it up. We now have students on the team, which is our first time, because we also want to engage them as early as possible, so that as soon as they're in KMA, their progression in KMA is pretty fast. Yeah, so we'll take questions at the end of the panel discussion, and that is our contact, ydn@kma.co.ke. And also I am always available in case you'd like to share insights. It's been a pretty interesting past 3-4 days hearing from the newly released 450 medical interns on the new model of balloting, which is spin the wheel. And we're compiling all those analyses as well as now today's dailies article. And we're trying to see how this affects young doctors, and we'll be highlighting why YDN is so important in this process. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Marie-Claire, for that insightful presentation. Would like to invite the young doctors who are here to share their views with Dr. Marie about the balloting system and their views on what has been published today. And this is in the view of coming up with one joint statement from Kenya Medical Association, which will inform the next steps. For those who are comfortable with the system, share your views, why you think it's preferable. And those who are opposed to it, let the YDN team know, and this will be shared with the Kenya Medical Association. At this point, I would like, since there are no questions I've seen on the chat, I would like us to go straight to the panel discussion. We have a very able panelist of 3, Dr. Marie-Claire, who has just spoken to us. She's the current convener for Young Doctors Network. The second one is Dr. Linda Kemunto. She is the immediate former convener for YDN and the current Treasurer General for Kenya Medical Association. Our third is Dr. Elizabeth Gitau. She is the inaugural convener of YDN, former Chief Executive Officer for Kenya Medical Association. And at the moment, she is the Deputy Secretary General for KMA. My panelist, Karibuni Sana. I think I will start now that Marie has talked to us. I think I'll start with Dr. Linda Kemunto. Linda, could you kindly tell us, like, what was the idea behind YDN at the inception? Tell us about your journey through the YDN all the way to through the Kenya Medical Association and transiting now to World Medical Association Junior Doctors Network. How has your journey been, and how do you think like young doctors like us can transit in similar way?
Thank you so much, Andrew. I hope you can all hear me clearly. Just maybe let me know. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Marie-Claire, the current convener of YDN, for organizing this very important session. For me, it's a joy to just see YDN getting better and better each day. And that's the beauty of bringing in newer people, fresher blood. They bring in new ways of tackling issues. So going by your question on how has my journey been at KMA YDN, I would say my journey with KMA started in 2017 after I attended the first annual scientific conference in Nanyuki. And one thing that was very critical to me was when we attended the scientific conference and the General Assembly. There were very many older, seasoned professors, older senior doctors in the room, and there were barely a handful of younger colleagues. So in short, I didn't have people I could relate to. Yeah, so I felt like KMA is not an environment for me. Maybe after I become a consultant and a professor, then I could come back to this association. But then that became a challenge to me to try and see how best can we bring in more young people, because I had seen the value of an association from my time as a student in SACE, IFMSA, and I didn't see why I should wait maybe 10, 15 years to come back and find my peers in the association. So I think around that same time, KMA was also trying to see how we can bring in younger people into the association. So there were discussions of having a young doctors network. Then I think I got involved in the World Medical Association's JDN. So these things happened, you could say simultaneously, because my first meeting with JDN was now in 2018 in Iceland. So at the beginning, the idea was just representation, yeah, ensuring we were able to catch the young doctors to come into the association, as well as try and solve some of the issues that young doctors face. At that time, issues of unemployment had not become as ripe as they are now. So at the 2018 GA for the AGM rather, for KMA, the JDN was formed, and Dr. Liz Gitao became the convener and I became the co-convener. So we worked in formalizing and operationalizing the network, coming up with the terms of reference. Half of what Marie Claire has presented is what we had envisioned at the beginning. And through and through, Dr. Liz went ahead and became the CEO, and then I took over as the convener, and Marie Claire joined the team. We also had Dr. Lindsay in the management. And as Marie Claire said, for me, I think the greatest, what I could say is the greatest achievement of YDN is representation in KMA. Because 5 years ago, I personally would not be the Treasurer General of the association, because I would have been required to have been in the association for at least 10 years. Yeah. So some of those things, because we were in the room and were able to give our input when we were, when the association was reviewing the constitution, then we were able to ensure that there's space for the young doctors to even take up NEC positions. And I think for me, the second achievement would be having the pre-conference running every year for a third time. And I think that's now has become part and parcel of KMA. I don't think we would ever have an annual scientific conference without a pre-conference. Well, unless in future the YDN team doesn't find it useful, yeah. And I think over the years, we've been able to host enough webinars, trainings for young doctors, giving KMA global visibility. When I now went to WMA after one year, I was able to join the management team as a membership director for 2 years and a communication director for 1 year, which is ending, I think, next month, yeah. So I think also that opportunity to be able to collaborate with WMA, and I would say that a lot of our activities are also heavily borrowed from the WMA JDN, as well as other, my interaction or members of YDN, our interaction with other bodies like IFMSA, WMA, and other national associations. So I think, I mean, for me, that is what I would say maybe was a successful start of an organization or network. But then it is not lost on us that there are challenges along the way. There are newer challenges that we did not envision when we were starting, like now issues of unemployment, internship now is almost not a guaranteed situation. People have to wait longer to be posted for internship. When I was doing my internship posting, I mean, I think people even posted 1 month after graduation. Some people even came for internship before they could even graduate from their university. So, and then there's this new accounting systems and devolved governments that some of them are finding it a bit, challenging working with doctors, and also for us doctors are adapting to the new way of life. Like now we are not in a centralized system. We're answerable to these county bosses, and having to navigate the political sphere as young doctors. And then after internship again, employment, as I said, is not guaranteed. And we are seeing now younger doctors trying to get into non-clinical, what we call, quote unquote, in Kenya, amorphous escapist courses, but really just non-clinical courses, going into public health, going into health management, information systems, going into leadership and all that. So I think going forward, YDN has to expand its scope, yeah? So the scope of YDN should be bigger than just representation in KMA, and that representation should amount to something. Our involvement in policy making, and my dream also as a KMA now national executive is to have KMA very vital in formation of health policy in the country, such that by the time we should be able to anticipate some of these crises and be prepared with our own internal policies that then the policymakers can adopt. Like now, if we're trying to have maybe reforms on, say, the NHIF National Health Insurance Fund, KMA as an association should have a policy on, let's say something like UHC, we should have a policy on health financing, in that we don't wait for the policymakers or the parliamentarians to bring in a law that is disadvantageous to us, and then we start reacting. So I think, I mean, that's, for me, that's the challenge at KMA, and partly YDN is to try and see how can we make this association grow and become better. So with that, I hope I have been able to answer your questions. But then as I conclude, I would like to say that I have benefited greatly from the mentorship in KMA, having interacted with a lot of some of my senior doctors in this association. They have been able to guide me even in how I do my work ethics at the workplace, hold my hand into leadership. I didn't think I would be TG this year, you know. This is something maybe I thought I'd do it maybe in the next 5-10 years. But because of active involvement and mentorship, some of these opportunities came much earlier than what I had anticipated. And I would hope that a lot of young doctors could see this as an opportunity to get involved. And the opportunities in KMA are not just within KMA. We have members of our association that we even send out to represent us in boards. I don't know if Dr. Leon is here. Dr. Leon represents us in the Tobacco Control Act board, yeah? So some of these opportunities for us, we get them as KMA, and sometimes we want to pass them on to our members, and it really becomes easier if you are an active member of the association. And then also, I would also encourage members, the younger doctors, to join also the World Medical Association, because it's a really, really good avenue to have an experience of what happens in the global health sphere. Yeah, there's an opportunity to attend the World Health Assembly, attend other global health events. So that's my encouragement. I hope we'll all be able to find value in KMA and YDN. Thank you. I hope I haven't spoken for too long. Over to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Dr. Linda Kimonto, for that detailed presentation. And for, you said you joined KMA conference in 2017 and you saw a gap in representation for young doctors, and you created an opportunity out of that gap. And we have seen that all of us now benefiting from that. And you have alluded to a number of conferences that you've been involved in. So probably towards the end, part of the question we'll ask, and question will come for many young doctors, is that how do we get opportunities to go to these conferences, considering that every time we check the conference, there is always registration fee, there is flight fees, accommodation. How do we go around this so that we are able to attend these forums? But your presentation was key, that young doctors need to get involved. And you have also highlighted that YDN need to focus widely on expanding its role and scope to also cater for the needs and challenges that have come out of devolution. And you've said that policy formulation is one of the key areas that KMA will definitely consider going forward. Thanks for that presentation. My next panelist is Dr. Elizabeth Gitau. We had alluded that she was the inaugural convener for YDN. My question to her, I would like to know, Dr. is that what are the main lessons have you picked that you'd like to bequeath to young doctors attending this forum today? And in your opinion, we've had the story of YDN and how it was established. Has it lived to its objective? And at this point, how much achievement would you attribute to your involvement in YDN? And what do you think should be the focus of YDN going forward? Dr. Gitau.
Oh, hi. Good evening to all the young doctors who joined the meeting, and thank you for the very good hosting, Andrew. So for the questions that you have asked regarding my involvement in YDN, and Linda has given a brief in terms of how YDN was formed. And in terms of, by the time we were joining KMA, indeed, there were very few young doctors, and many of us did not feel like we belonged. And it was during Dr. Kitulu's time where they thought to replicate what happens at the World Medical Association, to replicate the same within the Kenyan sector, Kenyan situation, and develop a JDN here in Kenya, which was named now the Young Doctors Network. Indeed, it was what I'd say pretty much doing things scared, because there was no such committee before, and there were no terms of reference. So we had to set up everything, as Linda had said. And then immediately from that particular conference, we were asked to start preparing for the next pre-conference. So indeed, in terms of just beginning, in terms of the main lessons that I've picked over the time is about one, doing things scared. So each time you're given an opportunity in leadership, majority of the time you come very unprepared because you have not been in such a position before. But with utilization of mentors, with being aggressive and doing things even when you're scared, is some of the main lessons that we've learned. And I'm very, very proud to see how YDN has grown way and beyond what we had envisioned, even as it starts, and it has grown, and people have embraced it, and we have very, very aggressive leaders who've actually shown up. I'm very grateful when I see Marion, Lindsay, who's going to actually lead another committee, and many others who we worked within the YDN, including even our current CEO, Dr. Brenda, and who actually participates a lot in the YDN activity. So indeed, what I've learned is that when you create, another lesson is that when you create an opportunity, there are always people willing and have time to actually plug in. So all you can do in association is allow people to participate, because all of us, by the time you're joining an association, what you want is to participate. So in terms of YDN, has it lived to its objective? Yes, it has lived to its objectives. And I do believe that more objectives will come up even as we grow and even as we learn from either the mistakes that we have done, or even from the misses, and even from sometimes the successes that we've had. We've been able to now see what is doable, what is not, and how to get support from other areas. And even now having a meeting with now the World Medical Association, JDN, as a KMA YDN, is actually something that I would say is growth. And that is what everybody wanted in terms of ensuring that all of us, in terms of ensuring that all of us participate, and we participate globally. So in terms of then the opportunities that I've been able to get in terms of participating in YDN, has allowed me to become more active within KMA. From my journey within the association is that I joined the Nairobi division of KMA, and that is where I started serving in committees. Then I became the treasurer of KMA And after that is when I was chosen to begin the YDN. And another lesson again, always be present, offer yourself, because I don't think they would have chosen somebody who's not participated within KMA. And that's how myself and Linda were chosen, because of our active participation within the association. So always be there, always be ready. Then in terms of my career life, what has YDN done to me? Indeed, YDN has been an opportunity for me, one, to hone my leadership skills, and even in terms of knowing how to fundraise. So even by the time I was getting into the CEO's position from YDN, I had started understanding a little bit in terms of how to engage sponsors, because when we were preparing for our first pre-conference within YDN, we had to do a bit of fundraising. So I got to learn fundraising in terms of leadership, and also allowing people to lead. I think YDN is one of those places where it's an open organization, where as long as you're willing to give in your time, to give in your effort, is allowing people to lead. I think I've been very privileged to work with Linda, and in terms of people bringing their various talents, people bringing their various networks within YDN, so that we grow the association. So another thing in terms of the progression that I've learned is also allowing everybody to come in with their different ideas. Sometimes they might be very different from yours, and sometimes you don't think it will work, but surprisingly, things actually work when you allow people to participate. In my career, I would say YDN, the biggest contribution I think has been leadership, access to mentorship. So YDN has allowed me to get various mentors, even getting the association secretariat job in terms of being a CEO. I actually would attribute that to actually participation within YDN. And even after that, in terms of the networks that I've been able to grow, even within KMA and active participation, I think I've gotten a lot of opportunities job-wise because of the opportunities that KMA has accorded me. And of course, in terms of participation, I got to participate as a YDN. I got to participate in one of the physician conference in Tokyo, Japan. And this was because we got the scholarship to participate in that particular event, courtesy of my involvement within YDN. So indeed, I would say this is a platform which you can utilize to be able to meet your career goals, and also to be able to impact society, and also to give your best to the doctor society. Thank you, Andrew. I hope I have elicited the various issues that you had asked. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Elizabeth Gitau, for that insightful. Yes, you've covered all the areas that I had asked in the question. And thank you for sharing with us that we need to grab this opportunity, even if we are not ready, and be willing to learn well at it. And that there are so many other aspects and skills that you are going to gain just from participation in YDN. And one that you have alluded to is the ability to fundraise for activities that we are organizing as young doctors. And the fact that you've said that this is also a platform to impact the society. As much as you are growing yourself, you have an opportunity to also impact your society right from the start. And I think most of us in this call will attest to this, that you've been very instrumental in passing down opportunity to young doctors and medical students. And we appreciate you for that, Dr. So finally, my panelist is the third one is Dr. Marie-Claire. You had talked to us earlier, and you told us, you gave us the structure of YDN and how you intend it to work, and how you've been currently involving a final year medical student right from medical school. My question to you would be, how has been your journey in YDN, and currently as the serving convener, what is the future of YDN? What do you see YDN going forward? Before you join in, I think I would like to acknowledge the presence of Secretary General for Kenya Medical Association, Dr. Diana Marion, and the President, Kenya Medical Association, Dr. Simon Kigondu. We will hear from them in a few. Dr. Mari.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It's interesting. Today I'm being called by my full name. I'm being used to being called MC. I think for me, my engagement with Kenya Medical Association started in medical school when I was in, yes, I think third year. And it was through, at the time, my medical school chapter, which was AMSUN, Association of Medical Students of University of Nairobi. So AMSUN had an annual conference and actively engaged Kenya Medical Association Nairobi Division because they had a seat on the Nairobi Division Council. So no matter what will happen, we will know someone from Nairobi Division will be in our conference to give either the opening or the closing remarks. And sometimes even Nairobi Division will point us in directions on where to get funding for these conferences. So then I got to interact with the then CEO, Dr. Amakove Wala, who then later on even came now to our inaugural General Assembly for the Medical Student Association of Kenya, where I was the organizing committee chair and the first Secretary General under the new constitution. And when we now transition to the new constitution of Msake, one of the key things the President's Council and the team of officials designed is ensuring that each medical school, which were 9 at the time, is pegged to a KMA division. And we distributed it to give or take 2 medical schools per division. And that distribution still stands to date, just because we realized the growth and the opportunities that AMSUN were able to have as leaders, having that close connection with KMA Nairobi division should also be reciprocated to other divisions. And coincidentally, along the way, even now, other divisions overtook Nairobi division in their engagement, such as my now current division, Egerton University and Nakuru division, and now even Kisii University and Kisii division. And now this year, when we did our pre-conference, we even ensured that we have a student engagement element, and we had a football match between Moi University Medical School students and Daktari FC members who are present, just to ensure that there's that continuous engagement. And thereafter now, Moi University are now engaged with Eldoret Division of Kenya Medical Association. So where am I going with all of this? That you can engage Kenya Medical Association even as young as you are in medical school, because we always attend your events. If it's not the Young Doctors Network, you will have the national executive, you'll have someone from KMA in your events. A good example is on Thursday, we were at the white coat ceremony for the University of Nairobi, which was the first one. I was there for Young Doctors Network and as an alumnus, and the Nairobi Division Chair was also there. Today evening, we'll have people who will be attending the Mount Kenya University white coat ceremony, finalist dinner, and pageant. They've matched all of them together. And that just shows you how open and to mentorship that our senior doctors have, and also we in the profession who are within the Young Doctors Network age group have, because we've seen what KMA has done for us. So after seeing it as a student, when I was in final year, Dr. Gitau had approached me to be part of the Young Doctors Network, but at the time I thought it was only for doctors. So I remember being added to the WhatsApp group and leaving. And then now when I satisfied the board, that's when I asked to be added back. And between my waiting for the posting and starting my internship, I actually did a small part-time job at KMA because they had provision for that at the time. And I also got to learn about KMA and fundraising, and that helped me now in the long run planning last year's pre-conference and this year's pre-conference. And for me, I think the greatest thing I'm really looking forward to is now holding someone's hand to plan next year's pre-conference, because I think the time has come for someone else to take that mantle and to lead us forward. Another thing also that I think I love about the network is that we're always growing. I mean, if you listen to the story of Dr. Gitau, Dr. Kemunto, at the time, there was a very small cohort of Kenyans who were active in the global space of World Medical Association Junior Doctors Network. But now look at it, we're still not a huge proportion of people who are subscribed members. I'll think maybe probably 20 or so people, but those 20 people are really active. Jen has said I work with her in the Pandemic Preparedness Working Group. We have Dr. Mercy Wanjala, who's the chair of Embu Division, who's now the new leader of the WHO Activities Working Group. We have Dr. Melanie Murgo, who's in charge of physician well-being in KMA, and she's also active in the publication side of KMA YDN and also KMA YDN activities. So being in KMA YDN also gives you the opportunity to appreciate what we have, because a good part of what we have at a national level is from the best practices we learned from the global level at World Medical Association Junior Doctors Network. And it also guides us to shape things as per what fits the Kenyan healthcare system and the challenges of the young Kenyan doctor. And it also now guides us that when we go to such international fora, we give informed decisions and also get key insights on how to better ourselves as advocates, because as doctors, we're also advocates for improvement of the health system. For me on a personal level, I got to understand the rationale of why this delay of intern salary was coming up when we were having this same discussion at the World Health Assembly workshop before that was held before, when I was one of the delegates and organizing committee members, and I actually asked this question, and people from the WHO actually answered from the rationale of healthcare financing. And it guided me now when I was talking to the interns I was working with in my center to explain to them the various rationales that come up in healthcare financing and why some things should not happen as they do, but they happen. So all in all, for me, mine is to urge you guys to come on board. The membership tiers have changed. If you are a medical student, it's 1,500 shillings per annum. If you're a medical officer intern, it's 2,500 shillings per annum. And then if you're a medical officer and a consultant within the YDN age groups, it's 5,000 shillings per annum. And I think to me, that is, it's the least amount of money. I think we should even be paying more for all the things that you're exposed to in the Young Doctors Network. We would like to have more and more people on board. We would like to have developed more and more leaders. And in the end of the day, even if you won't be able to engage in KMA at a national level through any of the committees, you have your divisions where you can plug in and do sustainable change. So with that, I think I see a hand up, and I'd like to hand over to Andrew for the Q&A question.
Thank you so much, Dr. MC, for that insightful presentation and remarks. So at this point, I think I would like to allow people to ask questions. You can put your question on the Q&A on the chat, or you can raise your hand. And maybe before I allow someone to go to ask the question, there was the question to Dr. Linda Kimunto. All these opportunities come with the expectation that you have to pay a registration fee or transport or accommodation. What avenues are available for young doctors to, to fundraise or to get support to attend?
So I agree with you. A lot of these events are very expensive. Even attending the KMA annual scientific conference is definitely a cost that would tempt a young doctor, especially if you're just starting off. But the way I look at it, there are two ways, or there could be more, but how I look at it is one, I look at it as an investment. Because I know if I attend a certain meeting, I might be able to meet someone who can expand my network and give me opportunities to make more money. So most of the time, I would actually use my own resources to attend a lot of these meetings, yeah? But that's because I have seen the value of networking with people, and sometimes opportunities come that are not per se directly linked to that event. The second way is sometimes being active. When you have visibility, you occasionally get sponsors. Like I think when I attended the WHO World Health Assembly 2 years ago, 3 years before COVID, my tickets were paid by the Taiwan Medical Association because they had invited me to speak at their side events. Yeah. So and that's because I had written an article on primary healthcare in the World Medical Association JDN newsletter. So the two newsletters that I think Jane had presented about twice a year. So I wrote about primary healthcare because at that time I felt like doctors are not being taken down to primary healthcare level, and that time in the country, I think there was a discussion about Cuban doctors. And for me, that is what I was trying to address, that we don't actually need Cuban doctors to be brought to Kenya. But instead, we have our own doctors and we can do the primary healthcare. Because of that article and visibility, and they were having a side event on primary healthcare, they were able to, sponsor me to attend the WHO. And I think a lot of other people like Dr. Liz have also gotten such sponsored opportunities to speak. So being active visibility might get you a few sponsorship opportunities. Number 3 is fundraising. And I think even currently we are trying to fundraise for money to attend the World Medical Association. We are trying to fundraise as an association, as individuals, to try and see if you can get some resources to enable some of us to attend the World Medical Association GA that's starting next week. So you can fundraise, then also you can also get support from other doctors. There, especially the senior doctors, some of them have enough resources to sometimes sponsor you. I have also been privileged enough to have some of my senior colleagues chip in to some of my conferences, or get me links to maybe even med reps who can pay for my conference. So again, the network. So you can try raise resources. That's the most advisable thing. But also when you look at it as an investment, eventually it pays off. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc, for answering that question. I think I will invite Milka Wambua, who has raised her hand, to ask the question.
I'm Milka Wambua. I'm still a student at Kenyatta University, a medical student. Thank you, YDN, for organizing this very insightful webinar and our meeting. I'd like to ask MC, because she said she thought the YDN was initially for doctors, which I also did before this conference, before I had her speak just right now. So what is the procedure for me to join YDN initially before I start paying the fee that you said, the 1,500 fee per annum? Like, what should I do to join at first?
All right, thanks, Milka, for that question. I'll ask Dr. MC to take it.
Yeah, thanks, Milka, for joining in and asking that question. Before I jump into it, kindly allow me to also highlight an answer for Linda's question also. Actually, this year we did manage, fortunately, to have a few doctors and students who we sponsored to attend either in person or online for the YDN conference. It wasn't a huge number. I think there were about 5 or 6 people who were sponsored, but it is something that we've piloted it out, and we've seen the great strides that it's gone through. So even as a network and as a leadership of the network, we're also trying to see what we can do to ensure this becomes accessible to young doctors, for starters, for our national activities. I know for divisional events also, they do have their own arrangements at division level. For the global events, I think next year would be a fantastic year to engage in World Medical Association activities, because both events are coming close to home. We have the Nairobi event in April, and we have the Kigali event in October next year. And I know those are a bit accessible, and the visa-free question is out of question for us. So we will be brainstorming, and if you're already thinking of attending those events, you can reach out so that at least we see how we can assist you as you fundraise to attend these events. That being said, your question on membership, at this point in time, it's pretty simple. If you register to be a KMA member at this point in time, you're automatically part of the Young Doctors Network, though we will be modifying it a bit to get clear data on how many are actually Young Doctors Network members. So you'll just have to go to portal, I think, is it portal.kma.co.ke? I'll post the link here. And once you go there, you fill in your details, you'll be registered, and then it'll lead you to the M-Pesa page. where now you'll fill in your contact, you pay on M-Pesa, you get your invoice immediately, and in a couple of days, you get your KMA number. When you're a student, your number will be a little bit more unique. So it will be like KMA AM and then your number, because students are more of an associate member. But our president and secretary general can add more to those technicalities. I'm just saying from my experience, that was how my number was when I was in med school. And then when I became an intern, my number changed and I had a KMA and a digit afterwards. So yes, I think that's it from me. I don't know if there are any other questions. So over to you, Andrew, before we hand over to our national executive for the vote of thanks.
Thanks, MC, for that, and I agree with you. Is that if you get involved, you will get supported by the doctors who are also here. This is to Milka and other medical students who are on this forum. I think my first membership fee to KMA was paid by Dr. Marie-Claire Wangare. My first meeting to join YDN was supported by Dr. Elizabeth Gitau. So I think you can use this relationship you have with the doctors here to get supported to attend these forums. And I think I was one of the doctors who were supported to attend the KMA conferences because I was supporting the pre-conference for YDN. So those are some opportunities that we can explore as medical students or young doctors. So at this point, I would like to invite Catherine Kabaire to ask her question. She had her hand raised up a while ago. Catherine, can you hear me? All right. Okay, fine. So anyone else who has a question, you can raise up your hand or you can put your question on the chat. The only question I can see from the chat is whether this recording will be available on YouTube. Marie-Claire, how can those people who are not able to join access the recording?
I think let me reconvene with our national office and our ICT officer and see how, because we do have the recording, so we'll see that we can upload it either to any of our channels or how we'll go about it. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. I don't think I can see any question. At this point, I would like to invite the Secretary General for Kenya Medical Association, Dr. Diana Marion, to make her remarks, and at the end, invite Dr. Simon Kigondu, who will give the closing remarks.
Good evening. Let me say I'm very proud and quite privileged to be here. They usually say that when you see the young people coming up to support anything, it means there's sustainability for that organization. Sustainability means that there's continuity. When the old are leaving, the young are taking over. And as the young are taking over, they are strengthening the organization and they are also making way for others. So the biggest thing that comes out that is very well highlighted with the KMA YDN is, first of all, the concept of succession. And this is what is brought up very clearly by the mentorship kind of program. I was very proud to be part of the mentorship program that was at the conference in Eldoret. And the journey and the organization that YDN has taken already gives us hope that the future is quite very good for us as doctors in this country and even in the world. The other thing I would say also is that as the Secretary General of KMA, we've seen and we have also been part of the young group. I think the time I joined KMA, I was a young doctor and there was no forum like that where you enter and you are able to get mentored by your peers. There was no forum like that, and you could feel very strange. And this is more than 10 years ago. So this existence of the YDN goes a long way in ensuring that the young doctors will never, or the upcoming doctors from medical school, will never feel that they don't belong. Because belonging to an association of your colleagues and peers makes you to feel at home, and you actually feel that you belong to an organization that can support you in many ways. Now, for the challenges that come up in the medical field, again, you become part and parcel of the participants that will be able to raise ways forward in terms of how can we intervene. And if you actually are allowed to do that, because you are part of this, the team, they usually say, if you are not at the table, you'll be part of the menu. So the reality is that it is good to belong to such forums, because you become part and parcel of solutions to the problems that are arising in our medical field. Every single day we see various challenges, and every single time we have to address these challenges, they keep on affecting the younger population in the group. So the earlier you start being part of this team, the better. And therefore, my appeal is that I will really encourage. We have various forums of supporting the young doctors, starting all the way from medical school. Whenever we have conferences, we usually have the students being part of our teams, and we support them. We also have forums by which we also engage the groups, that is the medical associations from the various universities. Currently, the beautiful thing that is ongoing is actually participating and supporting the white coat ceremonies. So I will tell you there's a lot that this has, and I would encourage each and every upcoming doctor, young doctor, to actually join the Kenya Medical Association. We are as strong as we are together. So let's come together and be able to be part of the team that solves our own problems. Otherwise, I'm very proud. While I was listening in, I listened to the young doctors that have come various strides. Dr. Linda was able to see a gap when she attended the conference in Nanyuki, and she was able to provide a solution. So that already tells you that you can also see something, and you actually will be given the value to be part of the solution. So we have seen what Dr. Liz Gitao has done as a young CEO for the organization. Now she's the Assistant Secretary General. We have seen what Dr. Marie Claire is doing. And that means all of us can actually get into these leadership positions, be able to be part of the policy making in terms of the organization, be part of the solution providers. And it's really, really good and encouraging when some of us are getting out, we are seeing the young ones coming in. It already says that we will never have a problem in terms of succession, and we'll always have continuity. So I will really, really encourage each and every one of us. I did attend the WMA meeting in Paris, in France. That was in April. And I did attend the Young Doctors Network meeting. That was the pre-meeting before the main meeting. And you can see young doctors and young medical students who are so committed. And one of the ways at which you also get to attend these meetings is by being part of them. And even in WMA, the costs are very subsidized as compared to how the full member pays. So I'll encourage you to also join the World Medical Association, or YDN, because we will be part of the solutions for health problems, because these health problems do not just affect us in Kenya or locally, they also affect us in the world. So there's the concept of climate change. It's good as we are young, we look at that and how that comes to affect our practice. and our profession. So with those few remarks, I will take this opportunity to welcome our president, Dr. Simon Kigondu. Thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Dr. Diana. And just before Dr. Kigondu goes in, there was a comment from the chat to whether Dr. Simon Kigondu would like to comment on the balloting process. Dr. Mari has asked the students and interns to share their views through the YDN email. Maybe Dr. Simon Kigondu, you could speak to that and maybe close the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you very much to everyone around here. And it gives me great pleasure to see YDN taking over KMA. In 2017, when we could not solve the problems of the young people, then National Executive Council led by Dr. Jackie Kitulu, we decided that the shoe pinches, the one who knows where the shoe pinches is the only one who can solve their problems. So problems of young doctors can only be solved by young doctors, and hence YDN was formed. And as you have seen, it is taking the lead in trying to address a lot of the issues that young doctors are facing. And one of them is the balloting, the spinning wheel. And Dr. Marie Claire, I think we charged her with the responsibility of getting views. And I have been reading the views and spoken to a few people. And I think the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council, of which Kenya Medical Association is a board member, was trying to solve a problem of there was some difficulties. You could not have a clear way of knowing who is posted who and who might influence who to be posted where, and they came up with a spinning wheel. And I think many of the doctors who have spun the wheel have said it has some form of fairness as opposed to the system that was there before. Secondly, I would add that should they want to improve the process, then there should be a second forum where those who want to change their internship centers can negotiate with others who are posted to places and see if a swap can occur. Then that would form a second level of some form of negotiation and fairness. And thirdly, the medical board should have a form of a small committee that can receive requests based on need. I saw some discussion on some people whose needs may actually dictate that they be in a specific place. So that is a work in progress. And I think as Marie Claire gets more and more comments, she will eventually come up with a report that can guide the association. All in all, I want to thank the conveners for this meeting, for organizing it. And I'm hoping that the attendees of the meeting are now more enlightened on the mandate of the Young Doctors Network. I can safely tell you it's one of the most active committees of Kenya, of the 12 Kenya Medical Association committees. And if I may go back to my journey, I started as a young doctor when I joined as an intern, and immediately after internship, we organized an election where we as young doctors took over the Machakos division and ran it for 2 years. We grew the division to the third highest division by walking and asking doctors to join. And we did not ask what the association could do to you, but we joined it and gave our input. The remnants of some of the impact we had today is Daktari FC, because we started KMA Football Club, and every old doctor then remembers us junior doctors as the sports people. So we were in charge of the activities after the conferences, as the elders were discussing things like single business permit and things like that. Now I am the elder discussing single business permit, and we have young doctors to continue with where we started. So we as young doctors should look to use the Kenya Medical Association, YDN, as a tool to achieve the objectives of medical professionals, which is to become better medical professionals, to improve welfare of our members and ourselves, and to ensure that there is quality healthcare for all Kenyans. Finally, I would want us to remember that Kenya Medical Association stands very strong at the world stage. We are the third, in Africa. 3 of the African national medical associations are known to be extremely active in WMA. That is Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria. And we are aiming high. We are also members of the Commonwealth Medical Association, of which we are aiming to run for presidency in the next year or the year after. And we are also in the KMA, which is a coalition of national medical associations of Africa, of which we have an active role. And once we will be going to the World Medical Association General Assembly, but I can inform you that the General Assembly in Rwanda next year, there'll be an opportunity for training, which the World Medical Association will conduct to form future leaders. And I want as many of you to be available to be trained in Kigali, because this same training is what propelled me and Dr. Kitulu, after we had World Medical Association training on leadership in 2017, to be able to run a big association like this. With that, I want to hand over the floor to the MC, and I hope that we will be doing more of this and go out as young professionals and conquer the world. These challenges that we are having, or to the profession, we can do it as long as we sit and discuss them and use the association as a tool to further and protect the profession. Thank you very much. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. And thank you to Dr. Jenzo Wanatun from World Medical Association and Junior Doctors Network. My panelists for today, Dr. Marie-Claire Wangari, convener, Dr. Linda Kemunto, outgoing convener or immediate former convener and the current Treasurer General, Kenya Medical Association, Dr. Elizabeth Gitau, inaugural convener for YDN, and the current Deputy Secretary General, Kenya Medical Association, Dr. Diana Marion, Secretary General, Kenya Medical Association, Dr. Amos Otara, the Vice President, Kenya Medical Association, and Dr. Simon Kigondo, the President for KMA. Thank you all for joining our meeting today. In the background is Peter Ogero, working on our IT department, and I'll be your moderator, Dr. Andrew Githeria. Asanteni sana, and see you in the next forum. Kwaheri.
Thanks, bye.